Hello, all my friends out there in YouTube land. It's your buddy Philtastic. I am very, very, very sorry I am late today. Unfortunately, I've been running around, and I'll put my ticker up. It's not episode 10, but whatever. We've got it there already. I've been running around today, but I guess not running around quick enough. Um, got up a little bit early, had to do a little bit of grocery shopping, had to do a little bit of gardening, spent a lot of time pulling some weeds, and I just sat back and was relaxing just a little bit because I'm pretty dehydrated, so I could finish some gardening before I run out to the comic book garage sale that the Bratton brothers are throwing today. So very sorry I'm late. Let me start off real quick. I don't see anybody with us right now, but if you're, let me go to comments just in case. If you're watching this pre-recorded, that's perfectly fine. Feel free to leave an answer in the comments. Here in New Jersey, what happened there? But here in New Jersey, we've had the plastic bag ban going on since March 4th. Today is March 21st. I'm sorry, May 4th, and today is May 21st. My question is, when you go to the store with, let's say you're going to Trader Joe's, you using your Trader Joe's bag, or is it kind of like a concert thing? Like, you don't wear the T-shirt of the band that you're going to see. I don't know. Just quick thought this morning I had as I was running out the door with my bags. I remember them this time, so I didn't have to buy one. I might have to hit another store later with a different bag, so we'll see. So this week, let's see. I did not visit the LCS. I do have one pickup to show you. I should mention I did get my May Reggie Collects Swolder supply box, but I have actually filed those comics away already. There were 3 comics. I know one of them was an issue of Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man series. I don't remember the number offhand. I want to say maybe it was 4. It had Sabertooth on the cover. Another was a issue of Uncanny X-Men. I know it's a classic issue. I own it. It's a classic Wolverine versus Sabertooth cover. And the third book, was it a Walking Dead? I'm trying to think. I know it's something that I don't collect, but I don't know, and I apologize. If I remember, I will let you know. I did have one other pickup here. I'm opening up right in front of you, so this is like a live unboxing. This is an independent book I picked up off of Amazon. This is Robert Paluso's Redemptor. Now, Robert Paluso is a writer out of Los Angeles, I think out of California. I don't know about Los Angeles. But I met him actually virtually last year. We were both taking some online courses at the Kubert School. And I believe that the class that we were in was the Dan DiDio class in pitching. I probably said his name wrong, by the way, Dan DiDio. I probably said Rob's name wrong too. But Rob impressed me because he actually already had, I think at one point, almost a complete issue of Redemptor available, the first issue. And look, he's doing this while raising a family, and I think he's a college professor, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see, it says on the back. He's a professor of English at San Antonio College. Okay, he lives in Southern California. I don't know California that well, so maybe it is LA. I don't know. Hey, Matt. I appreciate you taking time to say hello. Say hello, rather. You too. You too. I'll be thinking about you at the comic book garage sale, and enjoy DC. Have a good time. If you have an opportunity to hunt around a little bit, I guess good luck to you. Matt Woods, everybody. Matt Woods Comics is one of my favorite YouTube channels. I've said this before. I'm not going to say it, and I'm going to say it again. I wouldn't have my channel if it weren't for Matt Woods. If you don't know the story behind that, you've got to go back and look at my videos. But he hasn't been making some videos lately. He's got some stuff going on. Just been busy. But I would suggest today that you go ahead and subscribe to him now, so that when he does make videos, you can go ahead and jump right in. Yeah, you could use this time up until now to catch up on his videos too. So, yeah, it's kind of like when a TV series takes a hiatus or when they're on break, you could go back and watch the first 2 seasons, so that when the 3rd season comes on, you're right in the mix. So again, that's Matt Woods Comics. So back to Redemptor here. Yeah, he lives in Southern California, and yeah, just a great guy. Does some great artwork as well. I don't know his Instagram handle off the top of my head, but I suggest that you look him up. And I'm excited to read this. About a year ago, I did a review of one of his other books. I believe it was called Signor Zorro. Let me see. I think he had a little ad for it in the back here. Yeah, Signor Zorro, which I have to say was really, really great read. I like Rob's style. It's very kind of fluid, and you could really get the emotion in it. I shouldn't say the motion itself, rather. I'm going to see if I could find an example just to kind of show you a little bit here. Here's one, and he's got he definitely has his own style. I would compare it with maybe like a Scotty Young mixed with, I don't know, kind of something more hard-edged, more cubicle almost. But he does wonderful work with coloring as well. I think he does the coloring himself. Again, I haven't read this yet. I literally just opened it. If you didn't see that, it's just an example. And he's produced this himself. Yeah, his own little label, I guess, Paluso. But I highly recommend that you check Redemptor out, both volumes. Again, this is volume 2. You could read this. I think you could get. I know you could get volume 1 digitally as well, because I think that's how I read it, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken. We'll see. Signor Zorro, I know I have the print copy. Yeah, it actually says digital and print. Okay. And he looks like he has another title coming out soon, Gangster Bat #1. And Signor Zorro #2. I'm definitely in for Signor Zorro. Gangster Bat I want to take a look at. And, oh, here you go. If you want to check out some of Rob's stuff, go to robertpaluso.com. That's Robert, spelled Robert. Paluso, that's Piluso.com. robertpaluso.com. And, you know, when this comes up later, if I remember, I didn't know that StreamYard takes... First of all, I didn't know that StreamYard actually puts your video up for you. So if you notice, not last week, but the week before, the video looks like it's up there on my YouTube channel twice. Yeah, that's why I didn't know better. But yeah, if I remember, I will definitely put a link in the description. Maybe I'll have to reach out to Rob and see if he wants to come on and talk about some of his work here. But yeah, my hat's off to him, because let me tell you something. As someone who's tried to write their own stories and whatnot, it's not an easy feat whatsoever. And he's got this nicely printed. And I should add this, the paper quality is much better than anything that you're going to get on a Marvel book right now. And I'm starting to see that actually with a lot more independent books. I don't know if it's a mass production thing or whatnot, but yeah, great book. And again, I recommend you go out and check out Rob's work. You can either go to his website, or you could go right on Amazon. So if you don't want to go to his website for whatever reason, you can't remember it, maybe you can't spell, just go to Amazon and order it that way too. Okay. Let me show you what, yeah, we'll talk about the news first, then I'll tell you what I read this week. Okay, so a couple of things off the news. Right off the bat, I remembered this, actually, so I don't have to go back and do a makeup video like I did last week. The She-Hulk trailer dropped earlier this week. I was really, really excited to see this. And I still am excited to see the series. She-Hulk is one of my favorite Marvel characters. I've read Slott's run pretty much in its entirety. Sewell's run. I can't remember the writer who was after that, right after Civil War II. That was a different kind of flavor, I guess you could say, She-Hulk. And the current run, which with Rambeau, I can't think of her last name. I think Rainbow's a woman. Hold on. But that's a great series, the current run that I'm really enjoying. I have read a fair amount of Byrne's run as well. And I like that kind of very tongue-in-cheek humor that it looks like they're going to try to infuse into the show. And it looks like the show does really call back to Byrne and Slott and Sewell's run. I haven't seen anything about the prior run, the post-Civil War II run. But like everybody else, I was really disappointed in the CGI. You know, I guess I can, on some level, understand they don't want to make a bulky She-Hulk, even though that's ridiculous because She-Hulk is pretty bulky. But it to me, it looked like a bad cutscene from a video game. And like everybody else, I'm hoping between now and August 17th, Disney goes back in and actually corrects it or does something. Because some of it's kind of weird. In some of the scenes, it doesn't look too bad, and in others, it's just pretty terrible. I just really hope they give it the Sonic the Hedgehog treatment and just do the character right. I don't think there's been any kind of official word, at least none that I've seen yet. But yeah, like I said, am I excited to still see the series? Yes, but not as excited. Hey, Shadow, I didn't see you earlier. How you doing today? Thank you for joining us. It's episode 11. I didn't fix the crawler. I'll have to do that in post, I guess. Oh, I should mention too before I continue with news articles. I apologize that my video for this week, excuse me, took a little longer to come out. I was trying my hand at some effects and was having a difficult time doing so. I figured it out on my own, but shout out to Procreate. If you're an artist and you want to dip your toes into the digital art, then I highly recommend Procreate. I have to say that their support staff was very good about trying to help me out. They're in Tanzania is the only thing, so there's about a 12-hour difference, I believe. So I was right. If I'm writing a complaint at 7 o'clock at night, it's 7 o'clock in the morning there, I'm not necessarily going to get a response for a few hours. But I have to say they're very responsive, and actually the rep I was working with offered to render everything on just to help me out a little bit. Yeah, the She-Hulk CGI, I don't know. I'm hoping that they do. I'm thinking that they have to. I mean, I read something that they spent like 25 million per episode. Yeah, bad version of Avatar. Yes, see, for me, it looked like if you ever seen, it was a crappy movie in the early 2000s, The Rock and the Scorpion King. That's what it reminded me of. But I mean, 25 million an episode. Either they got to get some money back, or they're just not done yet. And they're like, "Hey, look, we got to throw something up just to throw something up." I mean, it's Disney, so I'm hopeful they'll fix it. But we'll see. And I know people have asked me. No, I still have not seen Doctor Strange yet. So this is spoiler free, even though Marvel has tried to spoil it several times on their own. And I'm still I still haven't seen the last Spider-Man film yet. My birthday is this coming week, so maybe we'll sit down and watch it for my birthday. I don't know. It's a little hard. My little guy's 3 months old today, and I've come to notice that when it comes to your schedule, when you have a child, it's like if you have a to-do list with 5 different things, just know that you're only going to get maybe 2 of those done. Yeah, I enjoyed the Ms. Marvel trailer. What did you see the most recent one or the first one? And yeah, Miss Marvel, I have to say, I'm really excited for that one. It's one of my wife and I's favorite characters. When we first started going out, I had a copy of the True Believers for issue 1. Both. Okay, good. What did you think? And I lent her the True Believers copy, and she was amazed that this character even was around, this type of character. She didn't know too much about comics before meeting me, but yeah, that kind of opened her up to it. She's not a big comic fan, I have to say that, but she's open to reading things when she can. You know, she's a little bit more exhausted than I am, of course, because she wakes up in the middle of the night to deal with the baby, especially during the week when I have to work. But yeah, Miss Marvel, I'm definitely excited for. Yeah, there was a lot of flack. I don't know if you saw this, Shadow. I had done a video a couple weeks ago. I actually had gotten into an online discussion on Facebook, which I typically don't speak about politics, religion, really any opinion at all on Facebook, just because what are you going to do? You're not changing any attitudes there. You're just making yourself heard. Unless you're somebody who types it in and never looks at the comment again, there's no purpose. It's just going to cause trouble. And there's a former local, I don't know what the best word is, but a former local politician, former elected official in our county, who had posted something up that said, why is Disney pushing the first Muslim superhero? And you know, it's the kind of thing, again, I don't usually engage, but I decided to bite. And I said, you know, it's not that she's the first Muslim superhero. It's actually a really good story. And I remember he replied something, well, how come they don't push any Catholic superheroes? And I said, well, there are a good amount of Catholic superheroes, and there's a lot of superheroes who, you know, talk about their religion, but I don't think it's the focus of the overall book. In the case of Ms. Marvel, I read all of G. Willow Wilson's run in her volumes. I didn't like when they changed up the writer, so I just don't follow her currently, Ms. Marvel currently. But you know, her religion, of course, was a big part of the story. It can't not be. But it wasn't like they weren't beating you over the head. It wasn't like, oh, you should convert to Muslim. And just like that, I don't know many superheroes who are like that, or many superhero stories, unless it's some sort of like a religious handout that you get like in a church or something. But I digress. The other news item that just came out about 2 days ago. Maybe it was yesterday at this point. There was some news that Stan Lee's family, or his estate, has entered in an agreement with Marvel where they can use his image how they please in print and digitally for the next 20 years. That's all the information I've read. But a lot of people jumped up getting pissed off right away because, like, oh, this is in such bad taste. They're going to continue with the cameos. And I was like, you know, I am reserving judgment. First, the way I read it, my thought is, okay, well, they want to be able to have like a Stan Lee picture up, like in a documentary or something, or acknowledge that Stan Lee started, you know, was a big creative force behind Marvel and some of the characters that we still celebrate today. Do I think that they'd be dumb enough to say, hey, we're going to do some CGI Stan Lee cameos because he's not alive anymore? No, absolutely not. I don't think that that's the case. I'm a little surprised that they haven't already clarified this point. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something come out next week. But yeah, I don't think it means that you're going to see a CGI Stan Lee pop up and everything, or a hologram, kind of like the Tupac hologram from Coachella a few years ago. I'm trying to think, are there any other items I wanted to discuss? Marvel's dropping some new digital card game. I think it's called Snap. I tried to watch the YouTube thing on it. I just didn't have the attention span for it. Maybe I'll check it out. I like the free-to-play things. I won't pay them for anything, of course. I give them enough money. Okay, well, looking for the week ahead. I've been over 100 subscribers for. I've been over 100 subscribers for a little over a week at this point. Thank you very much. Whether you're watching this live or recorded, I am going to formally announce my 100 subscriber contest later this week. So make sure that you're tuned in, have your notifications set so you don't miss it. It's definitely something unique. I'm hoping it's something I could pull off. It kind of determines on a couple external factors. But if we could do it, I think it's going to be something that everybody's going to enjoy. I have a couple other ideas for videos this week. I'm not going to plug any right now just because I need to record them. I'm noticing sometimes I'll say I'm going to do it and wind up recording something else. But just know that, yes, I'm putting out at least one video this week, hopefully more. So with that, let me get to what I read this week. I didn't read that much, I'll be honest with you. So Giant Size X-Men Thunderbird. I was very cautious about picking up this book. My whole thing was, I understand that I started to see both Marvel and DC do it, where it's like, okay, well, we have to have a certain number of X-Men titles. For DC, it was always Batman. And, okay, then we're going to have a limited series. And then we're going to have a one-shot. It's a money game. And I thought that this was another money grab. Typically, one-shots, in my experience, it's either great or forgettable. And when they first announced this, I figured, oh, okay, I'll just take a look at this digitally. And then I started to hear some positive things. So I was like, all right, I'll check it out. And I have to say, very, very good. I was happy that this falls on the really good one-shots rather than the terrible. I'll be honest with you, the art is not my favorite. it's just a little too cartoony for my taste. It's not terrible. It's not the worst I've seen. I've said this before. I do not like in that last volume of X Factor. I think the guy's name is Beldon's art, and again, it's just my opinion. But I have to say, this was a great story. I could have done without. I'm not going to give out any spoilers. I could have done without the little thing about the villain in here. I think having Orcus as the villain could have just worked all on its own. But I thought it was a solid read. Was very pleasantly surprised, and I'm really happy to see that they already announced at the end of it, hey, Thunderbird's going to return in, I think it said XMen Red, which wouldn't have been my pick, but hey, XMen Red, the first issue was a good title. It was a good one. I didn't read the second one yet. I think it just came out this week. I know I asked my LCS to put it aside, so I don't know. If I get there next weekend, we'll see. Marauders #2. Now, this one I'm still shaky on. This is another, I'll show you another example where the artwork is just too cartoony for me. This is better than what I've read with, better than that X Factor artist. But I don't know, when it's overly cartoony and overly stylized, it's almost like it's a little too shiny for my taste. I don't know if that makes sense. The new Gambit series, that one I'm passing on. I'll be honest with you. That one I am going to read digitally. Just, I'm trying not to load up my pull list too bad. But hopefully you enjoy it. The issue that I had, the thing I take issue with, I have to say, with Marauders, I'm still kind of feeling it out myself. The first volume of Marauders was one of my favorite of the House of X Krakoan X-Men titles. You had a great cast of characters, diverse cast of characters, sailing around the world, helping mutants who, for whatever reason, could not get to Krakoa. In this, it kind of reads closer to a classic X-Men story in that they're flying around the galaxy, which, okay, the idea of this pirate vessel is totally out of the water now. No pun intended. They're sailing around the galaxy. What's her face? Kitty Pryde is trying to solve some sort of ancient riddle in this puzzle box that she found with Cassandra Nova, who's on the team, who they're dipping their toe into slowly. They're not really doing too much with her, at least in my opinion. I do like that it adds a little bit of a layer of mystery with whatever's going on with the Shi'ar Empire, but it doesn't. It's lost that kind of shine that the first volume had. I'm giving this a chance. I want to at least get to the end of this arc to see if it changes my mind. But Marauders is on shaky ground for me personally. If you enjoy it, great. If not, if you're with me, then that's great too. Next, X-Men #11. And, last week I mistakenly said Polaris was the only one in her Hellfire Gala outfit, and I was incorrect on that. X-Men has turned around for me. I didn't like Dugan's run initially, but it is improving, I have to say. This was kind of like a Interstellar kind of casino thing. And again, they've kind of gone back to a more classic kind of X-Men storytelling in that sense, like these type of adventures, which I appreciate. But the issue that I take umbrage with the X-Men titles right now, one of the things I appreciated so much about the Krakoan, early Krakoan X-Men, House of X, and the months that came on after it, up until about Inferno, is everything felt very cohesive. You can read the books separately, but they had some sort of a nice little connection in it. Like, it wasn't crucial to read, but it was a nice little touch. It was kind of like their own Easter egg. And yeah, I kind of quickly saw a pattern with how the stories were going. So House of X and Powers of X, of course, led into everything coming out. And then as soon as that was over, Excalibur, which was my least favorite of the series, I've spoken to lengths about that, and I'm probably not I'm definitely not going into Knights of X because of how disappointed I was with Excalibur. But those early Excalibur titles, if you look at it, was really leading up to Ten of Swords, the Ten of Swords crossover, and it shined really just around Ten of Swords, and then the title kind of went to the wayside, at least again in my opinion. Same thing with the Hellfire Gala. You know, you didn't know it at the time, but X Factor was really the front and center book for the Hellfire Gala. Whether, and then subsequently the Trial of Magneto. I think that's where things started to get a little shaky, at least for me. But again, my opinion. Inferno didn't have that kind of cohesion, in my opinion. I don't know what the next big X crossover is. I don't think there's anything planned. I think they're all just kind of focusing on that Avengers, X-Men, Eternals thing that I don't know. I'm not happy about that one, but we'll see. Sabertooth number 3. I wasn't a fan of the second issue. Loved the first issue. This one is good. You're beginning to see what I think is a kind of a sharper take on Sabertooth, which I really like. And they're focusing kind of more on his trauma and whatnot. I'm not giving anything away. You know, they're pretty much figuring out that they're inside of Sabertooth's psyche. And he has kind of his own quiet council of different sides of his personalities. I thought that was really well done. The only complaints I have is that I don't necessarily think that the crew of mutants that are stuck inside of Krakoa with Sabertooth would be the most dangerous ones that you would think are going to be absorbed into there. And look, at the end of Hellions, and I'll give a spoiler here, so I'll give you a couple seconds to mute or whatnot. Okay, at the end of the Hellions series, which was my favorite of the early X-Men series, you saw that Nanny and Orphan were exiled into this hell where Sabertooth is. Why haven't we seen these characters yet? I think it'd be interesting to incorporate them. You know, I always have, I think like every fan, I have an opinion, an idea of the ideal story I'd like to see come out of this. I'm not going to share that because I'm going to just say, hey, look, these people are along for the ride. Let's see how it ends and goes from there. Okay, so we're going into Free Comic Book Day, Avengers, X-Men, Eternals, Judgment Day. I'm not excited for this big mega crossover at all. It just feels very kind of, I don't know. You know what? I've seen too many Avengers versus X-Men things. X-Men versus Inhumans, which was terrible. I mean, it's an interesting premise, but it just feels too black and white. If you're unfamiliar, the Eternals somehow figure out that mutants are descendants or basically deviants. So being they're Eternals, they have to go and wipe out Krakoa, and the Avengers are trying to intercede. That being said, taking a look at this, yeah, and this is 2 separate stories. First is the kind of prologue for this. 3 separate stories, excuse me. The first one is by Kieran Gillen, who I've read his stuff in the past, and I don't remember if this is a departure from his normal style or not, but I did appreciate what he did here. There's a lot of exposition here in this story that you really don't see too much in modern day comics, in my opinion. And this is kind of more similar to how comics were written when I started really reading them in the 90s. Granted, I think they took it a bit too far, but you pick up an issue of Uncanny X-Men from around then. So you're talking late issue 200, early issue 300, and you spend a good 20, 30 minutes reading a title just because there was so many words and so much to read. And it's kind of like things have kind of gone the other way to the point where I remember reading some Brian Michael Bendis Ultimate Spider-Man towards the end of his run, where I could finish an issue in less than 5 minutes because it was all, it was more dependent on looks and emotion and what the artist was emoting rather than the words on the page. So it was kind of refreshing to read something like this. Again, I don't know that I'm good on the story itself. I'm still very skeptical, but I don't know. As things get closer, maybe I'll turn that around. The Blade, the daughter of Blade storyline that everybody was clamoring for, I thought was just okay. Bloodline. I don't know definitively how they're going to use her. They definitely kind of tease that. I don't know. I take umbrage with, if you're gonna go to your free comic book day, take 50 copies of a comic and try to flip it myself, because that's not what it's meant for. But that's just me. There is an XMen story here, and it was a Jerry Dugan story that's kind of like a preview, I guess you could say, for the Hellfire Gala. And I liked it, but it spoiled something that could have potentially been a good twist. I'm still going to read the Gala, of course, because maybe it'll lead to something else. But yeah, I mean, that was decent. Again, it was a free comic book day comic, so nothing lost, nothing gained. Next one was not a free comic book day comic. This was Captain America 0. I got the Mark Brooks variant. This was a book that, it's a beautiful variant, I should say, too. And this is one of those books that Marvel put out that had like 50 different covers here. First, I got to say right off the bat, I think the inside of this book, look at this. I wish I had this as a poster. That's just magnificent. Oh. Everything's okay. I think the inside of the book, I have to say, is bar none the best interior I've ever seen. I would put this up on the level with something like you'd see in a Kingdom Come or a Marvel series. Yeah, just gorgeous interior. The story is you know, it felt like more of a classic Captain America story. Armanzola has a bomb that he's going to explode and make everybody his slave. The story is whatever. It's okay. It's definitely not anything great. But again, interiors are spectacular. I don't know that I would continue reading this series. I know they're splitting it into 2 titles. I think Captain America Sentinel of Liberty, and then one with Sam Wilson that just started this week. I don't know the name of it, but like I said, beautiful interior, story was And again, the Mark Brooks variant tops, in my opinion. The final book I read this week, I just read this earlier today, Free Comic Book Day Marvel Voices. If you've watched my channel for a while, excuse me. If you've watched my channel for a while, you know that I've purposely and intentionally avoided the Marvel Voices books, because I really kind of see them more as just an excuse for Marvel, and also the books that I know DC does, like this is for Asian Heritage Month, those type of books. I think it's an excuse for Marvel and DC to really just get you to spend more. And I say that because, yes, you know, you have these specialized titles, and it's great to see minority characters and minority superheroes represented. But why not then take some of the proceeds from those books and donate them towards a cause like this? This Marvel Voices is a little mix of everything, but I think they just had Asian Heritage Month. Say, okay, well, take a profit from your books that you sold for Asian Heritage and your Asian Heritage variants and whatnot, and put that towards an Asian-related fundraiser or something like that. Because right now it's just capitalism. It's just getting you to spend more money. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not against making money, but if you're going to put a cause at the front of it, I think it's only right to donate at least a portion to somebody or towards that cause. That being said, and this is, from what I understand, a compilation of all the different Marvel voices that have been printed already. It's really well done. If you read that front letter, and this was, it says reprinted from Marvel Voices 2020. It's a letter from Angelique Roche, who I guess she's a co-host of the Marvel Voices podcast. I get what they're doing. I really like that she made it a point of saying, like, she talks about Monica Rambeau being one of her favorite characters, being the first female Black Avenger. And she's like, look, you can't talk about this character without bringing up the fact that she was created by Roger Stone and John Romita Jr. When Black Panther came out, I found it unusual that a lot of my friends think, well, finally there's they thought Ryan Coogler, I can't remember the director's name, created the character. No. Look, it's a great character. It means a lot, but these were created by two Jewish guys in New York City in the 60s. And look, that shouldn't detract at all from the character, at least in my opinion, but for some people it does. Again, going into this, I have to say, I really loved, this is going to sound crazy, the Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur story. It was just very fresh. And this is that cartoony style, but it works in this sense. It was funny. I'll say this. And just well done. There was a one-page story for Voodoo. I don't like Voodoo. Just me. There's this great, very stylized 3-page story for Native Americans that is very well done. And the writer took this time, I think, basically to identify every single Native American Marvel character, some of whom I was surprised that they brought up, like Risque, who, hey, J80, how are you? Risque, who I remember from the late 90s X-Force titles. I haven't seen her since, at least that I could think of. They brought her in. I didn't even know she was Native American, to be honest with you. Maybe I did know that. I don't know. Words Do Matter, Miles Morales story. I do remember that one. That one I liked a lot. There's a nice story with Wave from Ages of Atlas and Bishop, one of my favorite X characters. That was also really well done. And I kind of liked that this woman, Wave, was like, oh, Bishop, I'm a huge fan. And he's like, well, I'm a fan of you. If in the future you're this big hero, blah, blah. One of the things that I think they've kind of lost their way with a little bit when it comes to Bishop, they don't bring up that kind of element like they did when he first came on, where he's like, yes, I'm from the future. So for him, at that time, being on the X-Men was like if you went to a Yankee game or something and they said to you, hey, we need an outfielder. Can you come in? He had grown up listening to all these great legendary stories about the X-Men, and now he's shoulder to shoulder with them. And they kind of slowly lost that over time. But this story did a great job about bringing that element right back into the character, and I enjoyed that. There's kind of a chronicling of the LGBTQT plus. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound rude. I don't know. You know what I'm getting at here, but there's a kind of a recap of every gay and lesbian character in the Marvel Universe in here as well. And that story was okay. It was just more of a recap. The very last page, Shark's Hunt. I didn't know that the Shark character, I think she's from, if I'm not mistaken, the new X-Men titles. Well, not new as in current X-Men, the new X-Men title itself. Yeah, I guess she's Portuguese. I didn't even realize that, but I don't know. I've just been reading the character for 20 so years or 15 so years. Whenever the character came out, why would I know that? I guess. But excuse me. That's all I have for you today. If you came in late, feel free to watch the replay. Remember, my crawler is wrong. I'm going to hopefully update that once it posts. And remember to, again, I'm going to have at least 2 videos this week. One is my normal video, and one is going to be my special video announcing my 100 subscriber contest. And I'm very excited just to announce that because, again, if we could pull it off, it's going to be something really, really special. With that, I have to go back and finish my yard work, and I hope that, and then I'm going to go to, of course, the Bratton Brothers comic book garage sale. If you're in northern New Jersey or if you're in the area, reach out to the Brattons because they have a great garage sale. I'm hoping that I get there before some good stuff has left the premises. But with that being said, enjoy the rest of your day. Get out there. It's a great day. Peace, love, and comics. Take care.